We are in the midst of a crisis.
The opioid epidemic, it's everywhere.
A little more than 20 years ago, the drug companies aggressively started marketing to prescribers, to doctors, that opioids were the most effective way to treat pain and they were not addictive. And it turns out neither of those things are true. The CDC took an important step in 2016 when they came up with new prescribing guidelines for opioids. In America, we were prescribing 10 pills more per capita than in Japan, 4 to 5 times more pills prescribed here in the US than in Europe. And we do not have 5 to 10 times more pain in the United States.
Prescription opioids can be really helpful medications. Anybody who's had an acute injury or an operation where opioids was part of their pain management strategy, often they're very appreciative of the kind of relief you get. Prescription opioids are really part of something that many physicians and other providers need to use in their practice, and they're really fundamental. The opioid crisis has changed quite a bit since it really first got identified as a problem, and there was a lot of prescription drug abuse, and there were also a fair number of unintentional overdose deaths.
But what we were seeing in the United States was just these pills being prescribed willy-nilly. There were like 70 pills per person prescribed in North Carolina in a single year. I mean, that's just a crazy amount of pills.
So opioids can be used by many people without the development of addiction, but they are very addictive drugs. Clinicians who prescribe opioids need to be aware of the possibility that a patient could develop an opioid use disorder. And it's thought that about 8 to 12% of individuals on chronic opioid therapy actually meet the criteria for opioid use disorder.
We must treat pain. If you undertreat pain, it leads to addiction, just as you overtreat it. By that I mean, if somebody has real pain and the healthcare community doesn't treat them, they will go on the street and treat themselves, and that's a problem. We are turning the tide on this crisis, and we must stay consistent, persistent, and committed to making sure that we put this thing back on the ground and not take any more lives than absolutely necessary. It's still massive. We have not solved it. Still 1,700 people died of an opioid overdose. That's nearly 5 people every day on average in this state. 1 life lost a day is too many. 5 is outrageous, and we have to keep pushing.